Hey there, in this video we're going to work through some more examples dividing complex numbers using this method of multiplying times the complex conjugate of the denominator. The complex conjugate of 3 plus 4i is the complex number that keeps the real portion the same but reverses the sign of the imaginary portion. If we multiply times 3 minus 4i in the denominator, we also need to do that in the numerator so that our fraction stays balanced. Now, typically when we're multiplying more than one term like this, we need to distribute and multiply each of these terms together. So we'll do that in our numerator, but in the denominator, we can take a little shortcut because one of the special properties of multiplying by the conjugate is it causes the imaginary portions that we would get from multiplying these middle terms to cancel out. So just in the case that we're multiplying by the conjugate, we can multiply the real terms together. 3 times 3 is 9. And multiply the imaginary terms, 4 times 4i, times negative 4i gives us negative 16i squared. And whenever we have I squared, we want to use the property of I, that I squared is equal to negative 1. So negative 16i squared is negative 16 times negative 1, which is positive 16. And when we add together 9 and 16, we get 25. So the denominator of this fraction will be 25. Now let's see what we get when we multiply out the numerator. I'm going to continue that portion of the problem down here, so we've got more room to work. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Negative 2i times 3 is negative 6i. Negative 8 times negative 4i is plus 32i. And negative 2i times negative 4i is plus 8i squared. And now we can use the fact that I squared is equal to negative 1. So this plus 8i squared is 8 times negative 1, which is negative 8. We should also combine together these terms of I in the numerator. So negative 6i plus 32i gives us 26i. And now we can also combine together these real numbers. Negative 24 minus 8 is negative 32. So the terms in our numerator are negative 32 plus 26i. And here's a couple more examples that we can try out. Our first step is to multiply times the conjugate of the denominator. And we also need to multiply by the same thing into the numerator. 7 times 7 gives us 49. And 7i times negative 7i is negative 49i squared. Keep in mind that I squared is negative 1, so this is really the same as plus 49. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times negative 7i is negative 21i. Negative 9i times 7 is negative 63i. And negative 9i times negative 7i is positive 63i squared. So in our numerator, we've got 21 minus 21i minus 63i plus 63i squared, but we can rewrite plus 63i squared using the property that I squared is negative 1. So that is minus 63 all over. In our denominator, we've got 49 plus 49, which is 98. So let's see if we can clean this up a bit and possibly simplify this fraction. 21 minus 63 in our numerator gives us, let's see, that would be negative 42. Negative 21i minus 63i gives us negative 84i all over 98. And we can simplify our final answer here if we divide by a common factor that we notice in the numerator and denominator. 42, you probably recognize that as 6 times 7, but another way we could factor this is 3 times 14. And 84 is 7 times 12, but another way we could write that is that's 14 times 6. And 98 is 49 times 2, but 49 is 7 times 7. So 7 times 7 times 2, another way we could write that is 7 times 14. So notice that every term in our numerator and denominator has a greatest common factor of 14. And if we divide by 14 in the numerator and denominator, that will make all of these numbers smaller, and we'll be left with negative 3 minus 6i all over 7. So I think we should also take a look at this example here, but we're running out of space on this page, so let's continue on the next page. We need to multiply by the complex conjugate of the denominator, and we need to multiply by the same thing in the numerator so that our fraction stays balanced. In the denominator, 6 times 6 is 36. 4i times negative 4i is negative 16i squared. Of course, I squared is negative 1. So this is the same as plus 16. And 36 plus 16 gives us 52. We'll do the numerator down here so that we've got some more space to work. And when we're multiplying two complex numbers that are not conjugates, we need to go through and distribute every term times every term. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times negative 4i is negative 32i. 9i times 6 gives us 54i. And 9i times negative 4i is negative 36i squared. Once again, we'll use the property that I squared is negative 1, so negative 36 times I squared is negative 36 times negative 1, and that's positive 36. Now we can also combine together these imaginary terms. Negative 32i and 54i gives us 22i. And now we can also combine together our real number terms in the numerator. 48 plus 36 gives us 84. So we've got 84 plus 22i in our numerator. And there is a common factor that all of these terms can be divided by. We can divide everything by 2. 84 divided by 2 would give us 42. 22 divided by 2 is 11, so we still have 11i, and 52 divided by 2 gives us 26.